Today I've gotten my hands on a pretty rare specimen. Well, not exactly rare, but like definitely rare for me. This is a Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 7.0 tablet from 2012. It is over a decade old. So with that, you're probably thinking, well, Jake, it's just an old Android tablet. What's so special about it? This one, it's still sealed 10 years later. So what I think we're gonna do today is we're gonna cut into this thing and see what Android tablets looked like 10 years ago. So this was at some kind of antique shop that my mom went to a little while ago. I've been hanging on to it for the purpose of this video. It was, I want to say, 40 bucks. It came with, it's actually right here. It came with OtterBox something series, whatever their thing is. It came with a case for it. I'm not too interested in that. What I am interested in is the last cut of this box. That's it. The seals have been broken. Probably just destroyed any value in this tablet. Flip her over, see what we get. Ooh, tablet right on top. So this is, as the name suggests, a 7-inch tablet back at the time when small tablets were really starting to become popular. You had you had the Nexus 7, but yeah, this is what tablets look like from 2012, and I've already gummed up the screen with all of my fingerprints. Move the box out of the way. I want to see if we have any life in this thing after 10 years. Yeah, I didn't anticipate this to actually have a charge. I was just kind of hoping that for like dramatic effect, I'd be able to like press the button and it would show me that it lives, but that's clearly not the case. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go plug it in for a little bit with this suspiciously 30-pin looking cable. It looks a lot like a 30-pin, but I promise you it does actually, in fact, go to this tablet. We're going to plug her in, give her some juice, and I'm going to come back in a couple days, and let's see what the 2012 tablet experience is like. Okay, so it's been about a week since I shot the first part of this video, and I am proud to say she still turns on, and the battery actually holds a pretty decent charge. We'll talk about that in a couple seconds here. But this thing's pretty neat. You know, it's a nice look back into the past. And let's do our normal review. Let's go over the specs and the build, and the experience with it. This is the Tab 2 7.0. And they had a 10.1 inch variant of this as well, but as the name suggests, it is a 7-inch tablet. It was announced at Mobile World Congress February 13th, 2012, and it launched a couple months later on the 22nd of April, and it replaced the Tab 7 Plus in Samsung's lineup. So the build is unapologetically plastic, which was kind of the norm for Android tablets at the time. You know, it's not a big deal. The front is glass. This is actually a glass display, which I would have been kind of bummed if it was plastic, because glass just feels so much better. On the top, we get a microphone and a headphone jack. If you are still into that, you probably would have been into that in the past. The right side, we see our power button, our volume rocker, and an IR blaster. Remember when devices had those? Left side, we have a flap for our micro SD card expansion. On the bottom, we see a pair of stereo speakers and that charger that I mentioned earlier that looks very suspiciously similar to a certain fruit company's MP3 player charger. It's not, by the way. The 30-pin cable does not charge this. It looks very similar. The cameras on this thing are actually not terrible. They suck. It's 2022. Tablets from a decade ago aren't going to perform to the standards we expect today. We have a 3-megapixel shooter on the back, and then on the front we get somewhere in here, oh, ugh. This is gross. We have a 0.3 megapixel front shooter. There is nary a biometric in sight. No fingerprint, no Face ID, no iris scanning, nothing. And you gotta remember, Touch ID was still a year and a half away at this point. It sucks now, you know, it was kind of the standard at the time. So the specs, now that we've gone over the build, let's go specs. The 1024 by 600p 7-inch TFT LCD, and that resolution works out to 169, nice, pixels per inch, so about half of Retina. Of a 1 gigahertz Texas Instruments processor. Yeah, the calculator people. They made CPUs for tablets back in the day. It's an OMAP or OMAP 4430 processor. It is dual core, so not super great, again, by today's standards, but back then it was all right. A whole gigabyte of RAM. For your storage, you had 8, 16, or 32 gigs of storage internally, and then you could put in an SD card up to 32 gigabytes, so you could have 64 gigs of storage on this, which seems to be more than enough considering that all the iPads non-Pro start at 64 gigabytes today. That's raw storage. I have 8 gigs here, and when formatted and running Android installed, that leaves me with 4.59 gigs of space to play with. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. And then powering this whole thing, we have a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, which again, surprisingly seems to hold up. Seems like its decade of hibernation hasn't really hurt it too much. So we've talked hardware, let's talk software. This natively shipped with Ice Cream Sandwich, Android 4.0. Its maximum native supported operating system is 422 KitKat, but I've seen people bring it up to Android 6 or Android 7 with like CyanogenMod or Lineage or some other third-party ROMs. I have not done that here. I might do that in a video at some point. It's slow, but it's a bit faster than I initially anticipated. You know, it shows its age, right? It shows its age. Graphics are a little rough, you know, transitions, swiping between, you know, some heavily packed pages. It's rough. It does put some serious strain on this thing, but I was expecting this to suck. Compared to what we have today, it sucks, but like, it's not super sucky. It's like uncannily responsive. Like, again, it's slow, but it's pretty good. There is no tap to wake, no raise to wake, none of that, so you actually have to press the power key for it to turn on. And when you do press the power key and you unlock it, you see our good old friend Samsung TouchWiz. Can you tell that I'm being sarcastic? Okay, good. I love TouchWiz so much. Now, one of the things that really sucks about this that I've experienced in the past couple days to a week is you can't update any of the apps on this. Like, the Play Store hangs. It just won't install anything. It will show you that it's attempting, but it will never finish that attempt to install updates, apps, games. Just doesn't. Samsung Apps lets you open it and it tells you there's an update, and it will download it and it will, you know, restart the app to install it, but it doesn't actually install. It's an infinite loop of, hey, you need to update to use Samsung Apps. Okay, all right, we're gonna restart for the update. Hey, you need to update to use Samsung, and it's the same update. It's not like layering version by version. It's the same update. So that kind of sucks, but you can, you know, because it is Android, you can put your own APKs on here and run them like that. And speaking of, let's go through how it handles some of the apps. So browsing the internet is fine, albeit very, very slow. But with the power of running your own apps, your own APKs, you can put some older games on here. I've installed a bunch of the games that I remember playing back in 2012, 2013, and they run pretty well. Another thing that this tablet is surprisingly good at is emulation. This thing emulates pretty well up into the DS. Like some later DS games cause it to struggle. Game Boys, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, beautiful, no hiccups. That's actually the reason this video is late. This video was supposed to go up on like Monday or Tuesday. It is now Wednesday and I'm filming this and aiming to put this up Thursday. That's this thing's fault. I got sucked into playing Pokemon Fire Red for like the first time in over a decade. So yeah, it does pretty good. And again, the battery surprisingly handles it pretty well. I've logged like 3-4 hour play sessions on this, just continuous 4 hours, and it has no problem handling that. So after a week of use and a decade of hibernation, how does this thing hold up pretty well. I was not expecting this to be usable in 2022. Throw an SD card in here, 32 gigs, you've got plenty of space to throw some games or some ROMs or whatever on here and do whatever you want to do. It's not bad. So do I recommend buying one? No, realistically no. Unless you want to like replace the battery and live with slow Android, probably not. But it's nice. This was a nice find, a nice video, and I had fun. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. Let me know if you had one of these back in the day, or if you still have one now. And I will see you guys in the next video.